I'll tell you the thing that gives me like the most hope about Notre Dame's chances here is, we talk about coaching and we talk about facilities and kind of infrastructure of the program. And this is where I think Notre Dame has been the most lacking, and in my opinion, is the thing that has held the program back over the last 20 to 25 years. I don't think that the university at large has been bound and determined to win a national title in the way that's like, everyone wants it. And I think that a lot of people thought Notre Dame has this goal, but are your actions consistent with meeting that goal? And I don't think that's true. And, with the announcement of the Shield, right? I'm going to call it the Shield, the new football facility that's coming in 2026. It's not even that it has to be built and in place for Notre Dame. It's like, okay, now that it's actually built, okay, no, Notre Dame's going to take the next step. It's just the statement of, hey, like, we're going for it. We're going for this. You pay up for Mike Denbrock. We're going for this. Al Golden, you keep him around. We're going for this. I don't think they've had that. I don't. It has been as frustrating to me as anything else, because that's a choice. People always talk about Notre Dame and their, the standards, right? The academic standards and the way that they go about things. It's like, you know what? You don't have to change the mission of the school to build a football facility like the Shield. You don't. You could still value education. You can still make them go to class. You can still make them graduate in 4 years and make sure that they're academically on pace. That is fine, right? Like, you can keep that. That is the mission of the university. We're not going to skimp on the education piece, but having the best facilities, having the best coaches, having the best recruiting operation, having the most analysts and all that stuff, that's the decision that you're making, and you're doing it. You're not having the best of those things just because you feel like maybe we don't have to, or we're not going to be, a football factory. Is having the Shield make you a football factory? I don't think it does. Right. So now I think they're finally coming to the point of like, hey, we can have all of it. We can have the education, and we can also have the best football facilities. I think the indoor facility is top of the line. I think the Shield, from everything that we've heard, is going to be top of the line in terms of like better than what everyone else has. And this is what gives me the most kind of hope going forward. And I wonder if that's your sense as well.
Yeah, I wouldn't even say it's that facility, because I think that, it's a good thing for sure, but I think it's more about just like investing, that show of investment in terms of like, what that's going to lead to in terms of, what it means for nutrition and all that kind of stuff and all that extra things there. Like, who gives a crap about, like, there's a friggin' water slide and the thing. No one, like, any kid who cares about that is not a kid who's going to pick Notre Dame anyways, right?
For
So
sure.
it's not about any of that. It's about what, and CP Hertz mentioned Mike has been on this train for a while. Like, it is 100% Mike's been on the train about just like, you have to be able to pay. You can't be reactionary, which Notre Dame's, they still are, right? But like,
Yeah,
you have to go and adding Mike Denbrock and being like, we're going to pay you more than LSU's going to pay you.
Yeah.
We're going to pay you more than LSU's going to pay you. And you want to be here. We're going to pay you as good or better than LSU will pay you. That kind of thing matters way more. Like, if you were going to get, because it's like, if this is the best guy you can get, you have to back up the Brinks truck, because there's no reason. They can afford it. They can afford it. They can absolutely afford it. Like, they can afford anything they want, really. Like, there's nothing that is unreasonable in terms of attracting the best people,
Mhm.
right? There's nothing there in whether or not, but you have to be able to say like, hey, we're going to do it. And I mean, there was just a bunch of times too, like just over the years where they didn't do that and they just were, not competitive enough there. And, NIL, like, is like 100%. Like, if you're not going to have the resources in place and, the structure in place there to help your programs, and that's obviously not just football, but everything. But like,
Mhm.
if you don't have that in place, like, then I mean, we might as well not even have started the conversation up that we're
Right.
having today. Like,
Yeah.
you can't even have the conversation because if you're not doing it, that means that you're just so far behind that it's not even close, right? So that's those are the things that matter way more. And when you see that type of investment from obviously people outside the program and then also from within Notre Dame, that's the kind of stuff that matters because you can't get to where you want to be. You can't get all the talent you want. You can't get the coaching staff you want. You can't get all this kind of stuff. You can't retain the people that you want to retain if you're not doing that. And I think that's what's most important.
Yeah, and the thing with the NIL too, like the players that Notre Dame is never going to get the guy who would not be interested in Notre Dame but for NIL. They're not going to get that guy, and they don't want to get that guy. He's not going to make it at Notre Dame. Okay, Notre Dame is self-selecting in that, like, man, you got to go to class, like you just do, and like. It's not even at this point, it's not even that the classes are hard. It's just that you have to go because everything is so online now. So many players at other schools, like they just take online classes and that's just how they get their education. Notre Dame is not going to be that. And that is that is the mission of the school, right? That is one thing that if they don't compromise on that, I don't have a problem. I don't. Because I think that there are enough good players to where and top players to say, like, I'm okay with it. As long as you are showing them, just make the investment. If you make the investment in the program, then I will do what I have to do. And we know that they will get the top players because look at KVA. Look how he came. Look at Dallas Golden. Look at Deuce Knight. Look at CJ Carr. Like, these are top players who have decided that it's worth it to me to go through all of this because of Notre Dame's investment in other parts of the football program. Because that's what honestly, like, I think that college players, you can hit them in the spot where it's like, hey, like, you want to be the best version of yourself. And you can do that here as a football player, and you can do that as a student. But you can't just say it. And I think in the past, Notre Dame has said that while the Gook was outdated for a decade. Like that's the problem that they've run into with like trying to sell the university and the brand. And I feel like they've tried to protect their brand more than they've actually tried to expand their actual operation. And I think that's been a huge problem for them. And I think that's where they have fallen short with a lot of players. It's like, man, you say you want the best for everything. We're never going to choose hard and never settle. And excellence is all that matters. But then this part of your operation is substandard. And it's not substandard at the places like Alabama who are actually walking the walk, right? And so when you have the academic piece of it, they're always going to have that, and that's fine. And you're never going to entice people with NIL because they're not going to do that. They have to buy into other aspects of the university. Now, I do think that recruits are getting taken care of, not in the way that other schools are doing it. Notre Dame's doing it in a different way, but they are getting taken care of, right? And I think that's fine. I think the current roster is getting taken care of. In fact, This is 100% my opinion. Okay, this is 100% my opinion. I don't have intel on this or anything. But like, people are wondering, how come Notre Dame players aren't hitting the portal? It's like, well, if you're the type of player who's like, I'm not going to play at Notre Dame, and maybe I'm not going to play at like any major school, I like Notre Dame's NIL operation, and I would like to stay to get that, because everyone gets it. Every player on the roster gets NIL money, and I think it's hard to leave, and it's hard to leave that education. It's like, I'm getting paid here, and I'm getting the education here. Why would you leave? You know what I mean? Now, I'm not saying it's anyone in particular. It's like, logically, why would you leave? That's where I think Notre Dame's NIL operation is right now.